It's the end of the day with Ray. Hello, my friends. Hey, today I have Greg VanDeWalker, and Greg VanDeWalker is the Senior Vice President of Great America. He heads up Collabrance, their master service provider platform. Greg, how are you doing, man? It's great to have you on the end of the day with Ray. And you know, the reason Greg's on is he reached out to me and he said, Ray, you did a video a couple years ago talking about accounting firms, and I really want to share a story with you. When he shared the story, I was like, wow, that's a great episode. Greg, accounting firms, selling IT services. Let's just get right to it, man. This is awesome. So tell us a little bit about what you told me on the phone the other day.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on, Ray. And I do remember you talking about accounting firms getting into managed IT. And, you know, it's really interesting when I look at some of the success Collabrance has had recently. You know, we're doing business with 3 accounting firms right now. And, you know, it just kind of proves the point that so many companies today are looking for other sources of revenue, other sources of profit to number one, diversify their risk, but also to gain wallet share with their customers. And, you know, when you think of just the trust level that your accounting firm has within an organization, it's pretty powerful. And, you know, the most recent example that we have, it's an accounting firm in the East. And, you know, they really wanted to get into this in a big way. They went out and bought an IT consulting firm, really the people to go do the assessments and to understand the platform. And then they bought an MSP to, you know, bring some of that infrastructure. And really, once they had these 2 companies in-house, they decided to partner with Collabrance to really provide really the plumbing so that they can go out and add the value through their consulting and all the other things that this accounting firm does. And I just thought it'd be a great story to share that, you know, it's a fast-paced industry, and, you know, the copier dealers, you know, who are primarily your listeners, you know, they just really need to have their antenna up. Number one, what kind of deliverable do they have with IT? And just beware. You just don't know who the next competitor is and where they're going to come from.
Well, you know, I was reading an article in ENX Magazine. You know, Eric Cagle put it out there, and they were talking to some of the mega dealers about acquisitions, and, you know, we've kind of been like quiet as hell over the last year, and some of the reasons for that. And, you know, I can tell you the reasons. Nobody wants to buy a print business. But when you start looking at the space in its own right, you know, and these dealers are still kind of talking about buying each other up, when you got accounting firms, and I want to be clear on this, these accounting firms aren't going to Collabrance for their own internal customers. They're going to Collabrance for their external customers. You got IT firms going out into the marketplace, talking to the document imaging channel's customers about cybersecurity, about IT security, putting them on help desk, using master service providers to provide a service. And by the way, I guarantee you that accounting firm is not real concerned about the print aspect of it. And so, you know, I mean, think about this, and, you know, you have our friends in the document imaging channel continue wanting to buy each other up, but a good regional accounting firm, and look at the success, look at who they're talking to. Have you had any conversations with the executives in the accounting firm, and do they tell you anything about some of their processes and how they're dealing with the end users that kind of stands out and grabs your attention from what we see happening in the print space?
You know, there's really a couple angles here, and in some respects, Ray, depending on the type of a relationship that the accounting firm has, because of conflict of interest, they can't sell IT services to them. So it really depends on what kind of a relationship they have. But where the relationship where they don't have the conflict of interest, you know, Ray, it would surprise you on just how consistent that motion is with just being a standalone IT MSP, going out, doing a good quality assessment, really trying to find out where are the holes, where are the problems in the business processes, risk, compliance. They're just doing good assessments and bringing value in that way. So I guess the learning point here is there isn't anything new in the approach they're taking. It's just some of the strategic, why are they taking those approaches, if that makes sense.
Well, and I think it's also the relationships. I mean, let's face it, you have senior level executives in an accounting firm, and I'm not saying anything bad about our friends that sell copy machines, but this fantasy that we've had over the last 10 years or 20 years that we have the greatest salespeople in the world, they go slam IT services to customers after they sell them the sorter, is not reality. And when you look at these accounting firms and just imagine the conversations that they're having, and this is why it would be so powerful if they actually were with a copier company, because they'll get the print. The print would just go along with it. It wouldn't have to be snuck in. It wouldn't have to be any kind of crazy strategies that the print channel comes up with and how to move their print equipment. But leading in a C-level discussion around cybersecurity and all the IT infrastructure and the complexities with that. I mean, let's be honest. Who's going to be taken more serious? A guy or a gal that understands how to have those conversations, or someone that's been schlepping print their whole life?
And I just challenge listeners, just Google regional accounting firms near me, okay, and just see what names come up, and start clicking on a few of the websites. Here's what you're going to find. You're going to be shocked at the breadth of offerings that they have. It's just not, here's my tax and audit and IT. They do a lot more, many of these companies.
Sure.
And so they've gone way beyond just IT, HR services, their security, and so they're taking a mindset to be way, way deeper with their customers than just one or two slivers. So again, interesting strategy. I'm not saying everyone needs to take that, but it is certainly the mindset of many accounting firms that we see in the U.S. particularly.
Well, when you think about one of the greatest assets that the Document Imaging Channel has, that they promote all the time, and why they should be able to sell IT better than the IT service providers that are in their marketplace, is the fact that they understand financing, they understand leasing, they understand hardware as a service, or the great America trademark, hardware as a rental. They understand all these things. Well, I guarantee you, a CPA firm understands them better.
Interesting fact for you, Ray. I got an interesting fact for you. What you say is true, but I will also tell you, when I look internally at Great America, the least penetration rate of a typical MSP and the least penetration rate of an IT company that's owned by a copier company, you can't tell a difference. It's shocking to me, because one would think that at least the IT company that's owned by a copier dealership would totally get the single payment solution and selling a bundled solution. We see no difference between an MSP or a copier dealer. That makes me scratch my head a little bit. But again, it just shows, I think, that there's some disconnects in the IT space in the copier channel. And that's just a glaring example of, I don't quite get that.
Well, it's always good to see my imagination come into life. Makes me want to imagine more. And when I think about these IT companies, and I think even our friends at Marco, who probably one of the better ones delivering this, can you imagine if they had a regional accounting firm as part of their deliverable, how powerful that would be, or UBO down there, any of the big mega dealers. So it just, I'm reading this article in ENX magazine. We're talking about buying each other up again. Let's buy some more declining revenue, and I don't get it. We have to diversify. I was excited to be able to spend some time with you in Ray's Cafe recently, so I do want to touch on that. So ladies and gentlemen, if you're already a member, you could go to endofthedayWithRay.com website. There's a Ray's Cafe episode, a brand new one. It's with Greg. We talked about 45 minutes on some of the struggles that the imaging channel's having in the transition into IT services. We gave you some more directions to help you through that process. But we got to start paying attention to this now more than ever. We cannot go through another year and wonder why we can't sell our businesses or why nobody even wants to buy them. It's crazy stuff. So, Greg, with the accounting firms, do you have a platform now, where you're actively pursuing these folks, or are you just kind of letting them come to you?
So I don't want to tip our hand too much at our public strategy. But 1 + 1 does equal 2, and so we're seeing an opportunity, and there's definitely a plan to go after them. There's a certain bio that we look for, and I really think we can bring value to that channel. I mean, we've looked for verticals in other places, but this is one that honestly we stumbled on it at first, right? That's how these things happen. And then we started kind of putting our toe in the water, and a couple of these popped up, and it's like, okay, that tells me something.
Well, you don't have to tell us the amount of CPA firms or anything, but just to get us an understanding, how many seats are you looking at if you took your CPA or that accounting vertical, how many seats are they putting on the Collabrance Help Desk? Can you give us that number to ballpark?
Sure. So I can share the one that was the acquisition. It was a small MSP. It wasn't that large. It was about 2,500 endpoints. I'm not quite sure how many seats, but it was 2,500 endpoints. And so, you know the math, right? That's not a huge MSP. But when we get a glimpse of what their strategy is going to be and how they're, planning to go after more of their customers, it's going to be nice. And, so we're quickly converting all 2,500 of those to our platform, so that should be lit up here fairly quick. But again, a lot of growth opportunity going down that path with them, because again, their main focus is, I don't want to have to deal with the plumbing piece of it. Collabrance, you take care of that. Be the knock. You've helped us and let us go out and build those relationships and bring value to our customers with the accounting firm as well as net new. I mean, you know it, right? You go out, you find a net new customer. Guess what? All of a sudden now the accounting group can come in and see, hey, let's do your taxes, let's do your audit. So, it's a two-way street when it works the right way.
Well, I think you said it earlier in the video, our industry, I'm going to talk about the print industry here for a second. A lot of times they're just so blindsided by the competitor they never saw coming. And most industries today, that's the problem. It's not about a new innovative product that takes our place. It's about a new innovative process coming from different people that takes our place. And when I look at the print channel in general, they're really open and very susceptible for someone to come in there and take their place. And accounting firms is one. It'll be really interesting as you develop these relationships with the accounting firms, and we could come back and talk about it. But I'll be really curious what their average revenue per account is compared to even a regular MSP or our friends in the Documentivity channel. And I know we talked about that in the Race Cafe episode. We got to get those values up and get those bigger customers. So, well, Greg, this is exciting stuff, man. I'm good luck to you guys in this new vertical that you're really kind of developing. It's exciting to hear about it, and I look forward to hearing more about it. Is there anything you want to say before we end this?
No, I appreciate the opportunity to chat today, and I also want to thank you for the discussion we had on the Race Cafe about that article. I mean, it was a pretty interesting headline that you and I kind of dissected and went through the article and just kind of candidly showed some of the fallacies of the thinking of what was going on there. So again, I don't want to give too much away, but it was a great discussion, and hopefully we can do it again sometime, Ray.
Well, Greg, I'm going to tease that up. That article was so disgusting when I read it. I think we were reading it at the same time because we both emailed each other within minutes, and it created a whole Race Cafe episode. So, Greg, I appreciate your time. I'll see you all later, because we all know this: status quo is the killer of all that'll be invented. Don't get stuck in status quo. Have a fantastic day.